my name's Charlotte and this is my husband Chris. We're a husband and wife team that run Namix Performance. So today is all about how we're going to integrate recovery, which is going to drive retention, loyalty, and more importantly for us, for all of us, profit in independent gyms. So a bit about our background. This is why I just asked that question just to start. So we fell into owning a gym by complete mistake. I'm going to put that out there. It was a happy accident. So we actually are primarily a therapy business. We've been a therapy business for 13 years. We've only had a gym for 7 of those. So the long story short is my husband Chris, he's our clinic director. I'm the managing director at Namix, so I'm all the operations, all the business side. My husband deals with all the clinic side and all our therapists that work for us. So 13 years ago, he set up an injury clinic, what is quite usual as a one-man band, renting a clinic room within a gym. We quite fastly started to develop our business and build a very good reputation in the area. So we then added a second clinic room onto that. Then, just shortly before COVID, we discovered that we actually grew faster than the gym we were within. We had that many clients that we were paying an astronomical rent to them, which we discovered was basically covering their own rent of the gym. We were still making it work, very profitable. But we got wind that they started basically falling out of love of running a gym. So the 2 directors wanted to go separate ways. We approached them and said, okay, we need a home, we're growing fast, and obviously you want out. So the rest is history. We then accidentally ended up with a gym. So the view was it was going to be a rehab space, and only rehab space. But it fast became that where we were wanted a community, wanted something that we were offering. So today, it's very well known for its reputation on post-surgery rehab for a lot of clients, as well as general population as well. So we have over 5,000 clients in clinic, and we have 500 members in our gym. So in terms of membership cohort, it seems quite low, maybe, but our space is actually only just shy of 4,000 square foot. So it's quite a small gym, but I don't know whether some of you have heard Julie Allen earlier talking about secondary spend. 50% of our business is secondary spend. So that's how, if you can tap into recovery, that's how big that can be for you guys. So obviously today we work as an integrated model. So I'll go a little bit more on that in a few minutes. So the problem with the industry is we've got 2 sides of the canyon here. We've got injury side, which is your physios, your massage therapists, and your exercise performance side. Not always, and quite often, if a member is a part of the gym and they get injured, where do they go to? They go to the physio, they go to the chiropractor, they go to the osteopath or the massage therapist. From there, we find that those healthcare professionals don't always know exercise to what PTs should know their exercise. So we find a bit of a struggle between the 2. So when it comes to those members being injured and wanting to go back to the gym, we find they're always lost. They're not getting always the right advice. They don't know what is bad for them, what is good for them. God forbid they're looking at Instagram on what's good for the back. Someone somewhere is telling them deadlifts are bad for the back as well. It's all about context. And this is where people, once they're injured, they struggle getting back to the exercise and performance side. So this is where at Namix, we formed a bridge between the 2. Because we're injury trained, when they do struggle with an injury, we get them fast. We have those conversations, we move them over to our injury clinic. Once then we've got their trust, we've fixed that problem for them, or should I say, their symptoms have reduced, they're ready to go back to exercise, we then phase them back into the gym with a plan and support for them to go back. If that doesn't happen, which a lot of gyms that doesn't happen for, when they can't find the way back across that other side of the canyon, they fall into this void. They start questioning, is your gym worth the money because they can't go, they're injured? Is it worth what they're paying for? And that's where you see the cancellations. They might stay in it for a little bit longer in hope that they will rejoin, but 9 times out of 10, that might only be for 3 months, and then you'll see a cancellation come through. They've lost the motivation. So this is what we want to try and stop. We want to stop them going across to the injury side of the canyon and not being able to get back across to you guys. And it might be an injury, it's nothing to do with the gym. It's not caused by the gym. It could be something they've tripped over the kids' toys, fallen down the stairs. It could be something really trivial. It's nothing to do with the gym. But the second they lose confidence, that's where they're going to struggle. So just summarising that, most gyms do focus on the training output, not the recovery that you do. Not all, but most traditional gyms. Members then drop off after they're injured, they have illness, or they face a plateau. So that's coming into the feeling lost that I've just mentioned before. There's all this noise as well. It's slightly starting to reduce, but the hard work culture, the train hard culture, where is the train smart culture? Where is the recovery side? So that hard work culture that's always been a very gym bro culture, that's neglecting often the rest and recovery and that narrative. Gyms, I'm going to take a hunch that all of you in here will never lose members because you stop caring. You lose them due to injury, probably because you don't have the support network in your gym. You don't lose them because you stop caring. Every one of us is here today because we care about doing better. So when I say recovery, I'm saying all of this. So hydration, you've seen Theragun downstairs, so Theragun or massage guns, compression boots, cold plunges, nutrition, your massage therapies, your physiotherapies, your stretching. So when we say recovery, we mean the whole spectrum of recovery. So, don't know what's happened to this slide. Why recovery obviously means more retention for us guys and more revenue. Recovery keeps members consistent and they stay connected to the gym. So for instance, if they've got an illness, they need to take that training down. There's still an aspect of your gym that they can still connect with if you have a recovery element. So again, that perceived value goes obviously a lot higher than what it would be if you don't have a recovery element. If you have in-house recovery pathways, it keeps people training safely as well, which obviously we all want. Keeps them also avoiding the drop-off once they're injured. Most members will also experience, so I think it's 1 in 3, will experience injury, fatigue, or burnout. So if you've not got that support structure in place, 1 in 3 is a huge amount for you to lose that opportunity on keeping them, or secondary spend of what you can assist them with. Helping with recovery as well does help build trust, loyalty, and like I just said, secondary spend. When we talk about the opportunity, on the left we've got without recovery integration. So the member will have an injury, burnout, fatigue. Naturally, you'll see a reduced training attendance. They'll then start to feel frustrated, pain, or lack of support. They'll start questioning that membership value. That will lead to the cancellation straight away. If you look at it on the other side and you have that referral pathway and that support network for recovery, Once they've got that injury or setback, you can then adopt your own structure, whatever that is to you, which we'll come on to, and implement a recovery pathway, whether that's you in-house therapist, whether it's a workshop or a collaboration with local therapists and health practitioners. You can then offer a free supported return to training. It might be 30 minutes of your time for free. I'm going to disclose here, I'm not a fan of giving anything for free. I'm all about making money as a gym. However, with that being said, this really does work because it's giving 30 minutes free to keep that member continuing for 12 to 18 months longer. So it really does work. Supportive return to training means that they've got that contact point there. They can settle in the gym, they can feel confident, and all of a sudden you've put that bridge back from those two sides of the canyons. You've got them from the injury side over back to the exercise and performance side. And more often than not, in our experience, when we've done a free 30-minute session for them, that's led on to secondary spend of PT, of additional sports therapy sessions. Our PT is approximately £500 for 10 sessions. So for that, people will spend it. They just want the confidence in this day and age, and the dreaded budget coming up. They want the confidence that they've got money. They just want to know, are they worth that value of that money? So just giving that 30 minutes really does help. It does, once they are confident and they're back into the swing, they're feeling great, leads to increased trust and loyalty, and then all of a sudden, they're going to be raving about you. That's how you create a raving fan. They're going to be raving about you. They're going to be telling their friends, oh, you've got an injury. You're not sure what to do. Go to them. They know. They're really good at what they do. So the financial impact for you guys, obviously the upsell opportunity, which I've touched on quite a few times, lower churn, higher lifetime value. At that drop-off of the injury point, you're going to keep them for longer if you can put a structure in place. In-house therapists can generate direct and indirect revenue for you. So from our side of things, I'm not recommending you all to go and employ your sports therapists. It's a risky strategy. We only do it because we've come from a therapy industry first. And not many people do employ their therapists. It's all self-employed. We have a slightly different model. However, if you have a therapy room or a room that you can create, work with them really closely. If they are successful, and my husband will vouch for this as well, our rent was astronomical all those years ago. We would have paid more rent because we were profitable. So just because they say they don't want to pay more rent doesn't mean they can't. If this model is working well for them, they're not going to want to lose that. So I'm not saying rip off your in-house therapist, but if you've got a room and this model that's working, the rent is actually, it's nominal compared to what they could be gaining. It creates emotional loyalty as well, having this pathway. So you don't then just have a transactional relationship anymore, and that is very, very strong. Every injury is an opportunity to re-engage a member and for secondary spend, not lose one. Now, some people might think this is like a bit of a moral question mark, they're injured, we're making money. NHS isn't going to be helping them right now for MSK. What we see, particularly in our area, the backlog's huge. We have quite a few people on our books that's waiting 18 to 24 months for an ACL surgery. It's massive, and they're needing help. So it's not necessarily about you making money, it's about you helping them there and then, or giving them a pathway and people that you recommend that can help. Basically, giving your members a metaphorical hug, basically saying, we can look after you, these are the people to help. So I just want you all to think, the last time a member came in and they were struggling with an injury, what happened next? Did you have a plan and a structure in place for them? Or was there kind of just well wishes and a little bit of hope that they're going to stay and it gets better? That is fine if that's the case. It's just we're looking to change that. So where gyms get it wrong with recovery. So they treat recovery as an afterthought. They think, I'm going to sell gym time, memberships are trickling in, I'm going to make a bigger gym area, but then I'm not going to think about what happens when they're injured. They treat it as an afterthought. Additionally, outsourcing. So some of you might have collaborations with physios or osteopaths or different people. But if there's no communication between you as the coaches and those health practitioners about how to phase people back in and there's no working collaboration, that's broken down straight away. So carefully thinking where you outsource to. Staff lacking in basic recovery awareness. And when I say basic recovery awareness, we're going to touch on that in just a second. Basic recovery is your nutrition, your sleep, your training management. It's not about your gadgets. Then a lot of people don't have a system as well. So if they are collaborating with people, they don't have a system for referring. So, we're all in business. Make it a win-win for both. Pay out for a decent lead. Don't forget to put your hand in your pocket and say, I will pay you for that lead, but then I expect it back. They will pay you for a lead. Make it a business deal. We're all in business. Don't work on goodwill. Have a contract in place. Make sure the referrals are being tracked. And the biggest one, and I'm very hoping no one in Therabody is in this room, but quick fixes. So gadgets are really good if they're implemented as a whole structure. You can't just put cold plunge or infrared saunas, or we've got gadgets, we've got Normatec, but you can't just put it in on its own. So whether it's Therabody or Normatec, they are great, but they aren't good just as a standalone. And if you're looking at it, if you're going to invest in it and see a return, that's the wrong way to look at it. So this is what I say about the biggest influence of recovery and staff training. So in a nutrition pyramid model, at the base, you've got the biggest core here: sleep, nutrition, exercise, and load management. Your PTs, if they are a good PT, they should know those three off the top of their head. If they're not, start looking into upskilling your staff. I make a lot of money out of therapists and modalities. Okay, so I'm not saying that it's not good. However, if you don't eat right, you don't sleep well, you don't exercise, and you think a half an hour sports massage is going to fix your back problem, it's not going to happen. It will make you feel better for maybe 24 hours after, but that problem is going to come straight back again. Okay? So all this together is the optimal recovery pyramid. But doing the gadgets and the techs and the Normatecs, the recovery gun, the massage guns, the cold plunges, doing your massage, but nothing of these three core pillars, you're going to find that if you implement just the gadgets, your members are going to find them pretty gimmicky quite fast, and you're not going to see much return. So just on this, I'm going to hand you over to Chris, which will be going through what three core pillars you need to obviously integrate into your recovery and how you can put it into your gym.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, so when we're looking at integrating recovery into a bit of an ecosystem within your gym, I'm not sure how most of you already have it or don't have it in your own facilities, but the way we tend to look at it is that this is almost like a tripod, these three pillars here. So education, upskilling, staff, and collaboration. So if we go back and take what are the real low-hanging fruit options here? So say sleep, for instance. So education, the way that we would look at that in our facility is, okay, how are self-aware of our own customers, our own client base around how important sleep is as part and parcel of the recovery for their own health. It's quite poor. Okay, how do we start improving that? Equally, with staff, our own staff aware of how to coach that and give the right, correct, evidence-based advice to our customers and the clients that we might have in clinic. And then collaboration, we might then reach out to, I know that we've got a customer who runs a local bed shop. So we might say, okay, if you want to improve your sleep and you're wanting a new mattress, then go and speak to these guys, and we've done a deal for, if you quote that you come to Namix, then you get a percentage off your new mattress. So the tripod comes in, it's like a trifecta. So everything all in pointing in the right direction should aim to make your customers more aware and get better results as an end product. So the one thing I'd probably say is that you take any one of those out and those aren't all pulling in the same direction, very quickly it's going to start to fall apart. Because you might say, we've got a discount with a mattress shop across the road, but if people don't know why that mattress is important to them, and the staff don't really know how to have that conversation with people around, oh, well, have you thought about you could be sleeping better if you slept on a different mattress? I'm using this as an example here. Then very quickly you're going to start seeing that this collaboration might not be the right thing, and equally you split that out amongst the other different pillars. Equally, if we go towards the top end of the pyramid, so gadgets and tech. So for example, we've got the Normatec boots in our facility. So when we brought them in, we were like, okay, do clients know what Normatec boots do? Most of them didn't. So we had to put a lot of effort into saying, have you seen our new boots? These are the benefits, etc., etc. Upskilling staff. The staff needed to get to use them, know how to turn them on and off, how all the different settings worked, how the product worked alongside memberships, who was entitled to use them, who wasn't. So without that, that then sort of played a part in that whole education for the clients. And then collaboration, obviously, we worked with Normatec to get not only the Normatec, but a few other different devices. We already had their massage guns and their foam rollers in clinic already. So this was almost like a bit of an extended collaboration with them. So it was all the recovery products in our gym and Normatec, Hyper Ice. You can come in and sit down if you want. But without all those three there, we could have just easily gone, we've teamed up with Hyper Ice to put all this stuff in. And clients would have gone, well, that's great, but I don't know how it's going to benefit me. And how is it going to help me with my bad back or my knee surgery recovery? So when you start applying it, that's the framework we try and work to. Kind of keep it quite nice and simple, but look at where can we come at lots of different angles. So again, when you're looking at different options you might be considering for your own facility, or if you're a coach on your own and you're wanting to offer recovery as more part of your overall service, there's loads of different bits and pieces you can do. And I think the main thing that Shart and I will say is that when we implement stuff, we try and look at the low cost options first, because they're the ones that obviously you don't have to invest a lot of time or cash into implementing. It's starting small. So for instance, in recent months, we've actually been doing multiple seminars for both members of the gym and then external members of the community to come in and listen to talks from our therapists around things from female health and the menstrual cycle, so how to work more effectively with your menstrual cycle. We've done ones on exercising with joint pain. We've done, I'm just kind of thinking what other ones that we've done.
Runners recovery.
Yeah, we did an S&C for runners, so we incorporated both strength and conditioning work and injury preventative work for runners. And all those had about 30 people in the room that were all like, I'm here to get this information off you because I'm wanting to know more. And those were fair, it didn't cost us anything to put them on. We just utilised the space that we had and just drummed up the interest. And off the back of that, we actually got more secondary spend. So by just offering a simple workshop, the input can be quite minimal with a potential on financial gain at the end of it. So when looking at business and trying to improve that side of things, you can position yourself quite nicely as someone that's just offering more than an exercise plan or a training plan. And then sometimes as well, we'll usually tend to do like pop-up clinics. So if we ran an open day, we'd always have a portable massage bed in the middle of the gym, because a lot of people might just come for the gym, but they didn't know we had a recovery clinic in-house. So then they see the value added side to that. So there's things like this that if you've already got a therapist on site, maybe talk to them about, hey, how would you feel about doing a pop-up clinic one evening, and do it like once a quarter, and start getting them just to try and drum up some more business and work in a bit more collaboration with them. Your members will love it. If you have a therapist hiring a room, they'll love it because it means that they can get customers that might want to book in with them. So there's loads of different options like that. Obviously, then that nicely ties into building relationships with local therapists or clinics or any other business that you feel would be relevant in recovery. So obviously, we've got some great nutrition companies downstairs, so building relationships with those. I know that when we've spoken with Nocco before, they've always said to us that if you ever run an event, we'll come and bring loads of free samples down. So it's all things like that that can just really play into offering more value to your customers. When we look at return to training pathways, this is a kind of a good one for when we're talking about physical injury recovery in particular. So when we're looking at someone who's had a back problem, a knee problem, and whether they are sporty or not, this could be someone that's they're a manual worker, and then they see their recovery important because it's heavily linked to, well, if I can't work, I can't earn. So it becomes a very meaningful motivation for them to take the recovery seriously. So for us, we'll look at going, if someone's had surgery in particular, why don't you come in and chat to one of us for half an hour, and it's a no obligation chat, and we just sort of go through what treatment have you had, what stuff are you currently doing, what's the therapist you've been doing, what have they been doing with you, what have they cleared you to do. And you can just start piecing together like, okay, well, here's your options A, B, C, depending on what you've got in your facility. Equally, we do this for not a return to training, but also beforehand. So there's 3 pregnant ladies we've had in our facility, and all 3 came to us saying, I'm pregnant, what can I do in the gym? Because I'm all a bit up in the air as to what I'm allowed to do, what I'm not allowed to do. So by us doing our own research and saying, okay, here's what you can do at each trimester, and then afterwards, we actually re-induct them back into the gym. So after they've had their all clear from the midwife, we bring them back in. We did about an hour session with each of those ladies saying, okay, here's where your starting point is. Here's how we introduce you back into the gym safely. And they just got a lot of confidence out of that because they didn't want to stop coming. But I think if we didn't offer that as a support network around them, they would have very easily just dropped off eventually because they would have gone, oh, well, not sure whether going back to the gym's the right thing, I'm busy with the baby. But we've almost just made it frictionless to come back in. So think about how you can maybe do that for your own cohort within your own facilities. Then the bottom 2, creating visible areas or branding and the promotion of that within content as well. So this all starts coming into the sort of the more frilly side of it. So this is in our facility, our Normatec boots, they've got a big neon sign above them. It's all very Instagrammable. They've got big comfy chairs that they can recline in. So it all looks very inviting. So if it's visible and it looks nice and people are interested in it, that's going to start that conversation a bit better than it sort of being tucked away in a corner of a gym where no one really knows where it is. So that'd be my biggest tip, is try and get it in people's faces, have it there in sight, and putting signs, lights around it, make it as cool as you can. And that's going to create those conversations. And then that opens up, oh, well, I never knew about this. And then You never know what else people talk to you about when you get onto the subject of recovery. And then social media content. If you're good on your socials, promote it all over the place with that. Make it a real USP for your own facility. It's one thing that works really, really well for us is highlighting the value added to our members in terms of we have the boots, we have the injury clinic on site, and no other facility in our particular area has that. So it's a real key differentiator. So when you're looking at how you can compete with some maybe bigger commercial gyms, these are the little bits of aggregate that can really start getting people coming towards you and moving away from, well, they don't really offer much, but these guys really care about me. So, changing the conversation around recovery. Shifting the practice of recovery from being reactive to proactive. So, the old adage of prevention is always going to be better than cure. So what you can do to intervene early and negate the risk of someone getting injured, so physical injury, is always going to be better. You're never going to be able to eliminate it entirely, but if you can keep someone from being as injury-free as possible or managing their pain as best you can, so particularly with people with arthritis and things like that, they'll usually be people that'll see benefit in getting...
Sorry, it's my son, it's the only time he has.
With arthritis, these are people that just they want help, they want to do stuff, but they're not sure what's going to be best for them without making it worse. So for us, we'd say, okay, here's your exercise plan. Jump on the Normatec boots after your session and do 15 minutes at a time. Have you considered how well you sleep? Have you considered doing your glucosamine and chondroitin supplements, and that then becomes a lot of good value advice to just that one member, and then multiply that across loads. Obviously, we've made recovery as part of our brand identity just because we have that expertise. So for you guys that might not have an injury background, it's still a case of that you can still talk to people about how well they're sleeping. Can they optimize their sleep environment? Can they eat better, drink better, and almost have it as a bit of a wraparound support rather than just what they do in that facility. It's what goes beyond that gym and beyond the workout. And develop a culture with members, with PT clients, seeing recovery as part of an ongoing development. It's not a flick the switch and it all of a sudden gets better. It's a gradual process that they need to invest in and do repeatedly. Like anything, we never say to anyone, turn up for this one workout and you have a six-pack. It's always, you've got to keep coming. So it's the same principle. It's just, you've got to keep hammering banging the drum all the time at those clients and still go, okay, have you had your protein shake after your workout? And if you've got front of house staff, perfect opportunity for nutrition stuff, because if you've got supplements there or protein shakes that they can make for them, the possibilities are endless. And then obviously encouraging your customers to train smarter, and they'll stay longer. If you can keep them in the gym, build those fans, they're not going to go anywhere else because they feel well looked after. So, obviously, we're talking about creating raving fans, as Charlotte said, and you might have heard this from another couple of talks today if you've been in them. So, the journey we usually tend to see is that, and touch on what Charlotte just said about the emotional connection that comes from people feeling supported when they've gone through an injury or they're struggling a lot with chronic pain. If you've ever seen these people in your gym, they usually go through peaks and troughs. They're feeling great and then they're feeling like right the way down here on the floor. So the journey we usually try and talk about, particularly when someone comes into Namix, so they're a new member, they're full of enthusiasm, they're coming to all the classes, they're doing all the workouts, they're having PT, they're loving life, and then all of a sudden it can be something within the gym or something outside the gym sets them back. And the 2 points will be is that if we know that someone's not been in and we've got wind that they've hurt themselves, we'll make it our business to get in contact with them. Whether they want to hear from us or not, because we feel as though we should have an obligation to try and help them where we can, or offer that advice. That's just our ethos. But sometimes just from having the conversation over the phone with somebody, they've come back in later on and gone, I'm actually really glad you got in touch with me, because I was feeling a little bit like lost as to what to do, where to go. And I'm so glad that I've sort of got back on track. Equally, if you're responsible for getting someone better and you've taken them full that through journey or sent them to the right person. So I know a few of you aren't injury therapists, but if you have a good relationship with a good physio, sports therapist, chiropractor who gets good results and got a good track record, they'll be forever in your debt for helping them get to the right person to get them back in the gym. So don't be afraid of having that, of having those conversations with people, because the return that you'll see both financially and then just loyalty and referrals to your facility will be mega. I think I'm just trying to think of most people that we've had in the gym. I'm thinking of, there's probably at least 2 families I can think of where I've treated every single person in that family. So it's mum, dad, son, daughter, parents, just from the fact of that we've looked after one, and because they've been so grateful for what we've done, then it's led on to other bits of business as well. So just don't, if you know it, I'd encourage you to reach out to those people. So, 3-step recovery plan to wrap up. Our best advice: educate people, educate your clients, educate the wider community through whatever social media or communication form you want to use, and your staff development. Make them more aware of how to have those conversations, what the benefits are to the products and services you're going to offer. Embed them, so what pathways, what systems you're going to put in place in your facility and outside of it. And particularly, if you're doing those external partnerships, make sure they are ironclad so you both know what the benefit is, the financial benefit. And obviously, marketing it well within the gym, make sure it's visible. And obviously, engage, measure it. So are you seeing people stay for longer? Are you finding that more people are spending more on things like PT or supplements or anything like these sort of things that you could probably be having as easy wins? And then simple things like some things that you won't see necessarily hard financial transactions with, but things like Google reviews, Facebook recommendations. Are you seeing people just kind of raving about you to their own networks because of the work that you're doing? And those are the sort of things that I'd probably say are really good indicators alongside everything else. So financial and non-financial. Thanks very much for coming and listening. Are there any questions about what we've gone through there today? Or anyone in particular that's got any particular projects they're thinking about doing or problems that they've got? Go for it.
So from a personal training perspective, where you mentioned about the sleep, the exercise, we've probably got that nailed down. Yeah. We've got links with the physio. Physio comes in once a month at the moment, and we've got a bit of a relationship there. We know that the industry is pushing more to this wellness and recovery space, something that ties in very nicely with what we're trying to do. Yeah. But it's such a new world to us as personal trainers. Is there anywhere you could direct us to in terms of resources where we can learn about, I suppose, that top end of that pyramid? Yeah. Where it's, because you talk about like a recovery zone, knowing kind of where to start with that without going and spending loads of money and not actually utilising it in a way that's purposeful for the people that are coming out.
So when we're talking about the top end of the pyramid, so you've already got the physio, so you're talking about the gadgets and the tech side of things. So I'd say, what does your budget extend to? And that's probably going to be the biggest thing, because there's a lot of stuff out there that's very expensive but doesn't give you much benefit. There's some stuff out there which isn't as cost effective but gives you a lot of benefit. equally, I would say you look at your own client cohort, so as PTs, what clients have you got? Just to get a bit more insight into it, are you like just a PT studio, or are you like a PT gym with a big team of you?
Pilates is our main bag.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that the kind of clientele that we're working with are very much pushing towards overall long-term health.
Yeah.
And part of that, of course, is like the recovery aspect. So it's, I suppose from our perspective, it's quite interesting that where the industry's going, and it's just understanding where perhaps we can position ourselves better to kind of make the most of that and create a better experience.
Just to
Have like a physio and massage therapist in-house.
Okay, so you have it in-house.
Then looking at how do we facilitate that outside in their own homes, but also is there anything else, like what can we bring in
Yeah.
in the recovery part of the care?
just to add from that, because I will say our most expensive gadget, which is our most profitable gadget, but also our most expensive, is our therapy staff. They give me the most headaches as well. But I'm not saying employ a therapist, but sometimes when people are looking at gadgets versus a very good sports therapist, we have a team of 12. So some of them are PTs, some of them are employed sports therapists. Now, we source them from university. So we have placements. So we only take university on because they can diagnose and assess where a massage therapist can't. So that's the difference for us. So our earning potentials, we pay them more, but our earning potential's bigger. So if you've got someone in-house, it might even be looking at a two-strand is what would it be to you to bring it in-house of employed? That's a big thing to look at. If other factors are employed, how can you leverage on that partnership even more financially for you? So can you do a bit more of a referral back and forth? But when it comes to gadgets, Cold and Chris will say it on, we have these debates all the time. I'm very much marketing, Chris is man of science. And when it comes to gadgets, Chris is a lot more sceptical on what is actually appropriate. When it comes to cold and heat, for instance, which is one of the leading ones at the moment, it's very much personal preference. Some people would hate an ice bath, other people would love a sauna. So,
Do you have to visualise that, keep it, when you're making a decision as to what you bring in, do you have to weigh that up?
So for full transparency, we have very little tech. And we're very successful on recovery, but we have very little tech. So the only bits we have in is we use Hyperice a lot. So Hyperice are brilliant, and it's who we recommend. So we use their massage guns, the foam rollers. They also have like our version of like a hot stone massage, which is like a heat pad that you can put on. So whilst the massage therapist is using one area and kind of massaging one area, and say if their back is really spasming, they're not liking it, we can just put a bit of heat on, just kind of get them feeling good, and then change sides with it. So it's kind of like a tech version of hot stone. So it's personal preference, and we only have 3 pieces of tech. And Normatec boots with the hips and the arms as well. So we're not gadget heavy. And that's where, before you purchase anything, that's where starting small is really important. Just see what bites. Test it yourself as well. We test everything ourselves. We've used many, massage guns and stuff like that, and we will stay clear of some brands completely and go towards others. And massage guns is it's like a self-serve thing. So if you're looking for like self-serve, those gadgets are really good. If you're looking more in depth and you're wanting something, a bigger investment, then obviously you've got your cold plunges and things like that. However, it has got a really big health and safety implication with the water risk and everything like that. So when you look at them, weigh up your risk assessments of it as well, because it might be that the answer's already in front of you of strengthening the partnership financially with the physio you've got, rather than implementing loads of other things. because and sometimes when you do ask customers as well what they want, they will give you what they want on paper, but when it comes to reality and you do a feedback form and say what would you like, they sometimes don't show up for it. Like that, you know, that's what we've found. So it's going with what you feel works with your brand identity, and what we found is if you believe in it enough and that you believe in that recovery tool enough and your staff are shouting about it from the rooftop, it will excel. It could be the world's worst recovery thing, but if you believe in it enough, it will sell and people will buy into it. But if you're kind of go into it kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and you're not quite sure whether it will work, that's the writing's on the wall normally for the gadget. There's no kind of right or wrong answer. It's what would work for your brand. And if you love, you know, saunas, then that's what you go towards, because marketing it will be easier for you.
I think that stems from like the questions we get from members. Saunas is one of the things that comes up quite often.
Yeah.
But
it's costly. Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes it's putting a line in the sand and saying, when I get to X members or X customers, I'm going to invest in that, and almost do it as a goal, or I'm going to look at it when I've got that amount of customers or that amount of money in the bank. I'm going to look at it, and if you get to that point, everyone's like, no, we've gone off that trend now. It's like, phew, okay, extra dividends for me now. But at least then you can draw a line in the sand and just, I would say, don't rush any decision on recovery, because it is something that a lot of gyms fail with, because they rush and they want a return on their money too fast. Ours has only happened because we've had 13 years of working on therapy. So we can sell therapy all day, every day. Selling the gym, we've got to work harder at. So we're kind of probably the other way around. But that's what I'd say, just don't rush that decision.
But if you want to chat to us a bit more afterwards, I can develop a little bit more on that answer. If you wanted a bit more of a cutthroat one, come chat to us in a bit.
That's not recorded.
But no, thanks very much for coming along and listening to us, guys. We hope you found something educational, informative out of that. We're knocking around for a few minutes now, so if you want to ask questions, come and grab us, pick our brains. But cheers for coming.